Enjoy the show.
Beaming at you from the depths of the internet.
This is the Temple of Geek Podcast, your one stop for all things geek.
Welcome to the Temple of Geek Podcast. My name is Kari, aka Star Wars Tia, and I will be your host as we share our thoughts on Star Wars Visions Volume 2. If you haven't watched the show, save this episode for later and come back because there are going to be spoilers. If this is your first time tuning into the Temple of Geek Podcast, welcome. The Temple of Geek Podcast has been around since 2012 and is hosted by various geeks from the Temple of Geek team. Here we cover all manner of geek and pop culture news and events. To our returning listeners, thank you again for tuning in. We really appreciate you being here. So guys, let me introduce you to the amazing guests we have today. We have JJ and Suhaila, returning guests. Welcome to the podcast, guys. Can you briefly introduce yourselves to the listeners and tell them a little bit about yourselves?
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me again. I'm so excited to talk about Visions Volume 2. My name is JJ. I make content on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter under Lady Dragon JJ. I talk about A Song of Ice and Fire, Game of Thrones, Star Wars, Marvel, pop culture in general, anything fun and interesting that's going on in the nerdom. I'm there to talk about it. So, yep, I'm very excited to be here.
I'm also really excited to be here. My name is Suhaila, also known as Sue's Theories. I post about all manner of things, any show or movie that I'm watching. I also make little earrings that match the shows typically that I'm watching. And I come up with wild theories. So that's kind of what you can find on my TikTok or Instagram or Twitter.
Awesome, guys. We could go ahead and get right into it. First thing we're going to do is, what did you guys think of the show in general? JJ, you can go first.
We were lucky to get a preview in London during Star Wars Celebration when we watched one of the episodes. We watched I Am Your Mother. That's the fourth episode of the season. We were lucky enough to see it back then. It was sort of a preview of what we're going to see. Plus, we got to see the entire panel of all the filmmakers from different animation studios coming from different places, different countries. So we got a little bit of a taste of what's to come. We saw the trailer. And then, the whole season just, blew my mind away. I love the first volume. Ronan is my favorite episode. I love the character. I have the book and all that. I really enjoyed this unique way of telling Star Wars stories. And especially now in Volume 2 when they expanded it further and expanded the scope to encompass different cultures and different ethnicity. So that was such a refreshing way to get this episode and sort of spirit of Star Wars encompassed in all of that. So it was very, very special. I loved every single episode. I have zero negatives to say so far on any of it. So loved it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm still new to a lot of the animated shows, so I haven't seen Visions 1, but this blew me away. The depth of the stories, they're 15 minutes each, and they felt so much longer. I got so involved in every single story. I related to so many characters. I was hooked on so many of the different animation styles. It was just beautiful. It was refreshing and enriching in so many different ways. Every single story. And there's, interestingly enough, I don't know whether they necessarily gave them themes, but there are a lot of themes that kind of thread through all of the different episodes, even though they're each completely separate stories on their own and different studios created them. It was really cool to see. And I think, expanding the scope into having different cultures and ethnicities come in, everybody comes in with, a lot of similarities between cultures, which is really interesting and really cool to see. But then there's also the uniqueness to each of the individual episodes. So I really, really enjoyed all of them. They're amazing.
Yeah, no, I agree with you guys completely. This season completely blew me away. Coming from Visions 1, which was such a refreshing take, like JJ said, on Star Wars, and then now seeing the way that the story is being told even on a much larger scale, and with so many different themes, the cultural significance of each of these, each of the episodes and stuff. It was just amazing. And I wanted to bring up that what was funny was that the one episode that we got to see at Celebration was the only episode that was lighthearted. This season was very heavy.
That's a good point.
On the very much serious themes and topics and stuff. So it was really cool. I loved it completely. And Sue, you brought up animation. What did you guys think of all these different types of animation? What did you JJ?
You mean what you had, like your classic anime style, then you had like the robot chicken animation and some claymation, like stop motion. The episode 2, the Screecher's Reach was very like sort of like classic 2D
Yeah.
cartoon with a whole lot of horror elements, which was absolutely shocking, unexpected. And then the episode with Bandits of Golak, the story that's from
Yeah.
India, the animation on that one was absolutely mind blowing. It felt like one of those Final
Yes.
Fantasy sort of 3D kind of, blew me away. When those Inquisitors showed up, I screamed.
Another blue boy. Another blue boy to fan
I
about.
was on screen. Seriously, enough. My quota is... No, I'm lying.
There's never enough. There's never enough blue.
Never. No.
And the Inquisitor, it was the animation. I was mind blowing. It was very much like when the chase scene with the train was reminded me of like
Yes.
Indiana Jones style,
Yeah,
like adventure,
yeah.
which was so cool looking. The last episode was the Au song, like the brightness and like how the cute little bear looking creatures.
Like
I would
felt,
like
right?
the way they were
kind
like,
of felt.
like almost like a
Like a plush.
plush.
Yeah, like plushies. Yeah.
That's what it felt like plushies, but it was like a lot
Animation.
darker in theme. And like, you
It
know what I mean?
looked
Like,
very
like
cheery.
the dark type.
But it was
correct. And you have like, they're like mining red kyber crystal. I'm like, that is a source of like a lot of darkness right there underneath this colorful and bright world. I was like, yeah, this season was unbelievable. And like you said, we saw the one episode that felt the most lighthearted and filled with like Easter eggs, and who doesn't love seeing
Yeah,
Legend
exactly.
Voice? Like,
Yeah.
I'm like messaging Callis, you're
this
gonna
one.
love this one. They're like, I heard. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Sue?
I think JJ covered it. Like it was amazing seeing all of these different animation styles, and like you said, like there's animation styles that are very similar to like shows and anime and stuff that I was watching as a kid, and there's like nods to different types of styles, which was really cool, and each one like fit the story really well with the way that they were telling the story. They did a really great job integrating like the animation style with the story, and the way that they were, like you were saying with, I think it was Future's Reach, the way that they like used the animation style to bring in that horror element was so cool. And it kept like it's animation, but like it really like made me feel terror in certain parts of it. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't typically get, super scared, in things like with stories like that, but like it really, like they just did a really great job marrying like the animation with the stories, and like the two complementing each other really, really well. And yeah, like so many different unique approaches to the animation as well. Like we were saying, like there's stop motion, there's, characters that look like they're made out of felt. There's, I think it was the first one, Sith, had a really interesting animation. It was beautiful. Like
that one,
the one character was painting in like the entire
like blotches, right?
Yeah,
but they were like alive with the force.
They're alive. Yes.
And the way and when she's painting, like the little blots or little dots, they start turning black. So you're kind of like wondering, where's this going? Is she turning dark? But then like she's on the run from the cool looking Sith.
He was so freaking
mind blowing.
Cool
Animation wise, that one was my favorite. The way it looked, it was just unexpected that the art itself was alive.
The art was arting, definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
Arting.
And like I found it really cool.
If I remember. No, I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
No.
I was talking about the Sith episode, with the curved sabers. When one of them turned yellow and the other one was still. I was like, so this is about balance.
I was not expecting that.
It was Star Warsy as hell. Like that could literally be a canon story if you ask me right there.
Yeah. And the one thing with the animation style for Sith specifically that I found really cool was how like in certain scenes it went really bright and white, and like it was very light and airy and like almost like it. I don't want to say unfinished because obviously like that was the purpose of it, but kind of sketchy, like sketched out areas where she was like walking from after she wakes up and she's going to paint. That little like scene there was really cool, and it felt like almost like a dream. And then when we see it later on, you know, the switching between that like light and airy to like the actual grungy, you know, dark space of the ship, it kind of like clicks on like in you where she's creating this, or at least like in her mind she's creating this scene, which is just really cool. Because like I think that one, it was really interesting how they like did the story, and they didn't quite like give you all the information in the beginning, so you're just kind of like wondering, oh, where is she, what is she doing, where's she going, and then it like clicks later, and then you're like, this is brilliant, like the way that they use the different, you know, light, dark, different even like styles of not really different styles of animation, but like visual styles, I would say, within the animation was really cool.
But do you guys remember the little robot companion?
Oh my God, yes.
Oh,
He looks
tore it
he looks
apart.
like the Death Star.
Yeah.
Like he
Doesn't
literally,
it, right? With the little robotic
yeah,
spider
yeah, with the
arms.
things, and he
Yeah,
had
and
the
then the
eye,
stick
like the Death
eye,
Star.
yeah.
That was his shooting thing. Yeah.
I lost it, and I wrote in my notes a dreamscape type of setting. There's a red door that leads her into a room of darkness, and the dark eyes peeking through, and then snowscape desert with twin suns. And you know me, twin suns is like
Twin
my
Suns is like
when I think of Star Wars, I think of twin suns. So, but the Sith looked really cool and really menacing. Because a lot of these stories, they like to incorporate Sith not as good guys, but ambiguous. Like in Screecher's Reach, they I don't know if you guys are watching credits at the end of each episode, because I was trying to catch names and where each animation came from. The Sith Mother was voiced by Angelica Houston, but it was credited as Sith Mother, which the little girl doll made a deal with through that little medallion.
So she's a Sith mother.
She's a Sith Mother, yeah.
Yeah, well, wow.
Yeah. But like it didn't look like that she was there to harm the children, or you know what I mean? Like it was very ambiguous to.
It was
she trying to turn a little girl?
Wow, that changes like a lot, because I didn't even realize that. I
love that episode because of the witch, the Sith witch in the cave.
Witch.
It felt really claustrophobic. I don't know, like, and it was just like a not a simplest. I don't want to use that term to describe anybody's art, but it was like a 2D motion, like almost sketched with the pencil, and like the way they'd sketched the witch.
That's yes. It was like kind of watercolor type of that they were able to do. So it was cool that they did it with that type of animation, that they were able to like really expand her, like if she was being like elongated.
Pulled apart.
Oh my God, that was
and the
so
screaming was
cool.
horrific. But then you think of in the beginning of the episode too, these kids are in a junkyard, basically labor, child labor, and they're trying to get away. All meanwhile, Doll, that's the girl's name here. Doll. She's making a deal with somebody. Like, what was she saying? I'll follow your path with strength and courage. I follow your path with strength and courage. Like, are those Sith words? You know what I mean? Like, it was like, I follow your path with strength and courage. Like, you're not thinking Sith, and then the Sith mother shows up. So now you're wondering, is Doll going to become a Sith, like Sith apprentice? It changes.
That's what
like,
she was
everything.
looking for. She wanted her as an apprentice.
But like, and then the most painful line was when she turns to the other children, because they don't want Doll to go. They are visibly upset. And she looks at them and she goes like, make her choice. I lost it. Like, you walk away so that she can let go. Yeah. Goosebumps. Yeah. Love that episode. So good.
No, so good. I love that with Doll, like, I feel like maybe the Sith mother was taking advantage of Doll was being such a Star Wars person with longing for something else, wanting more.
Yes.
You know? That's like such a Star Wars trope, you know? We got it with Luke, we got it with Rey, we got it with Anakin when he was a kid, you know, everything. And I think the mother knew that, obviously. And now that I know that she was a Sith mother, it makes sense that she would take advantage of that. That she took advantage of Doll that way.
That is interesting. You know? But it's just, to me, it's just funny that with the witch in the cave and the Sith mother, such opposing animation styles, number one. The Sith mother look very like
boxy, like very
clean.
Correct, like very clean animation,
clean,
right?
Edges, yeah.
But then correct, and you're like, are you a Sith that we know? Is this like What's going on here? Like, why not take the other children too? Are you saving them, or are you just seeking an apprentice?
Yeah.
I could have watched a whole
Maybe they're
hour of
not
that.
force sensitive.
Yeah, no, that was really cool.
Yeah.
That's
I
true.
think with Screecher's Reach as well, like what it does is it like subverts expectations. Because like when you see somebody like longing and, you know, they're trying to like do this thing. And then with the Sith in the cave, I was expecting that they were going to like save them the entire time. I was like, oh, something's going to happen. They're going to, you know, or maybe they're not as evil as like people are, you know, are making the Screecher out to be, right? And
The
it's just
ghost
going to
be more of a legend, yeah.
Exactly. And it's just, you know, this trapped woman that needs help or something like that, and Doll was gonna like help her out, and then she ends up
free her,
killing her. And like when that happened, it just like my brain stopped and I was like, what? I was not expecting that at all. And then from that point on, as soon as I saw like the Sith mother, I knew it was a Sith, because I was like, a Jedi would not have asked a child to kill someone. Whether or not the Jedi kill, they would not have asked a child to do this in order to gain access to leaving.
But was it a darkness-driven kill, or was it safety? I'm going back because I wrote in my notes, did she strike her? Because it faded to black. Between the rocks, because she was crawling for her through the cave, and she fell down when she pushed her with the force, and then the rock toppled on her, if I remember correctly.
On the Sith, the Screecher, and so she was stuck.
The Sith Witch.
And so then Doll takes the lightsaber and then goes and kills her. Whereas like she was already out of danger. I mean, maybe not entirely out of danger, because she can still get unstuck and all of that.
But you're right. You're right. No. You have a point. I forgot about that part. She was stuck.
That's when Sith Mother came in and was like, oh, now you're ready.
Exactly.
Because she killed.
And so like as soon as I saw the Sith Mother, I was like, I knew this was a Sith. I just didn't know what the deal was. But
yeah. Damn, I didn't.
And I mean, they kind of like,
that's crazy.
Damn.
Yeah, they kind of like trick you a little bit as well with like the visuals of the Sith Mother. But then you like look at the eyes, and like there was something about the way
they're yellow.
That she looked, that kind of like, I was like, she looks like she's like this elegant, beautiful person, but there's something that just screams evil.
It doesn't fit right.
Yeah, like it's like this oxymoron, this thing that doesn't quite fit.
Yeah, exactly. The dark side it allures, and it's enchanting, and it's intoxicating and
seductive.
Exactly.
Seductive. That's the word.
Oh man, I need to rewatch this episode and watch it really
I'm
closely.
gonna go back and rewatch all of them.
Yeah, me too. 100%.
Oh no, absolutely.
100%.
As soon as they come out on May 4th, it's a rewatch for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got through Sith, we got through Reacher's Grace. Let's go into episode 3, In the Stars.
Oh, that was
my goodness.
Oh, good.
You've
seen me goosebumps this part, Kari.
I know. I already know you're like chicken skin right now.
Chicken skin right now. Like, just thinking about this episode, the end.
Oh my gosh.
Make sure my notes are up on the episode.
Oh
my gosh.
Tearing up the entire time, cried multiple times, was bawling at the end. Like, just such a beautiful, like, story. And the way that they tell it, and the animation with the way that they're telling the story, and how they're telling the story too, because it's the young, kid that's telling the story. I'm sorry, I forget their names. I'm really bad at remembering.
The little one is Tichina.
Tichina and Koten, her sister.
Koten is the sister, right?
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, they chose to have Tichina be the one telling the story, and hearing that story coming from a child hits very deeply for me, anyways. And like the hope and the like the longing and the belief that Tichina had in her mother and in the story, and her like desire to like paint this beautiful picture, even though, and waste
with
the
little
mushroom
bit of
gold
water gleam.
Yeah. And like waste the last little bit of water that she has, like just shows just how important that whole, I guess, ritual is, right? And then like the heartbreak that you see of when the stars, because of the dark clouds and everything from like the industry,
Oh my God,
close
yeah.
up, and then you hear Cotton being like, the painting's gone, like it can't survive without the stars, and it just like your heart just sinks. Like these two indigenous children, who have nobody, and like when you realize that they're the only two left, it just, oh man. But
Survivors
like,
on that planet.
yeah, just such a beautiful story.
And she
Yeah,
tries to stop the TIE fighter in the beginning, like hold up
I
her hands, and
know.
she thinks she can do
Yeah.
it. Like
Yeah.
you have the older sister who is a bit more cynical, a little bit more
Yes.
like, I see the reality of the situation. Like Empire has depleted all of the resources, literally poisoned the ground, like to nothing, and took away everything, even their like family and friends. And then like, look, Tichina is like trying to stop that TIE fighter. I'm like, what do you can't. Oh God,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh my gosh,
I
that's
loved it.
I
And I love
yeah.
that the parallel with like what was her name? Kote?
the
Cotton?
little one is Tichina, and the older sister is Koten.
Koten being like, she knew that she had that ability in her. I feel like she did. She knew, but that
She did, of
she
course.
felt that that was the reason she did, and that she blamed that for the mother's death. So
That's
that's why
right.
she didn't want
Yes.
to do it.
Yep.
She had PTSD, for she had trauma
Yeah.
associated with the Force.
Yeah.
And then it just paralleled with Kenobi for me. How Obi-Wan was in like the same way, that he didn't want to use it. He was traumatized by it or whatever. And
Oh
then
my
the
God,
moment
yeah.
when she caught Tichina, I was like, oh my God,
Yep.
that's how Obi-Wan caught little Leia. Like,
That's
he took
exactly
her.
right. Oh, I did not
Serious.
connect that. Oh my
Yes.
God,
That
you're right.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that scene
I
was
was like,
emotional
oh
in and
my
of
God.
itself, but that connection is something else. I also
Like, I
love how
love that. I
they.
love that,
Mhm. Oh,
No,
just
go
a
ahead.
quick
Go
thing.
ahead.
I love that how they describe the Force as mother's strength, because like they're not like they're Force sensitive, but they're not Jedi. And the way that they describe it is by
Mm-hmm.
like honoring their mother, which I thought was just like such a beautiful way. And also like it makes sense from the perspective of this being an indigenous story, that it seemed, from my understanding, that that planet didn't have very much interaction with the outside world until the Empire came and took it over,
Mm-hmm.
and so they
Came
had their
in.
own
Mm-hmm.
way of describing and talking about like this forcibility that they have, and attributing it to like a matriarchal
Mm-hmm.
system or society is
Mother.
really beautiful. And yeah, and exactly, like I found that just such a beautiful way of describing it, and the way that they like kept that
Yeah.
thread throughout the entire story, I thought was beautiful.
I also love the another, I guess, homage to the indigenous people was the way that she
Hmm.
was telling the story with pictures,
Yes.
because
On the
that's like a
stones,
very big
yeah.
The
thing in
paintings.
indigenous community. So everything, it was
Hmm.
what, like pictures and stuff, and I absolutely love that they paid homage in that way as well. And
Yeah.
The clothing and the
And
mhm,
paint
yeah.
and the
the face paint,
masks,
everything,
Yes,
the
yes,
yes.
the
music, like the
masks.
whole
Did you
everything,
notice
like everything
Oh,
was
the
connecting.
the
yeah,
music
the
was very okay. So
music?
the
Oh,
music,
so good.
so how they explained it to us at Celebration was that this got inspired. This was heavily inspired by a lot of the struggles that Latin America and a lot also the Caribbean countries and stuff where have gone through because of imperialism, colonialism, and stuff. And especially there's a war that happened in Patagonia, which is at the southernmost point of Chile.
Chile, yeah,
So
yeah.
the music that they were playing was like it was in music from Chile, like a traditional indigenous music from Chile, like
Oh my
that's
God, that's
with the
So
amazing.
good.
flutes and stuff like that. That was I was like, I was listening to like, oh my God, this is so amazing. We're hearing this type of music in Star Wars, like
Yeah.
blew my
What is
mind,
going on? Yeah.
blew my mind.
Insane.
And it was, of
So
course, very
good.
personal to me with the story because my parents come from Colombia, and I know the
Mhm.
struggles that Colombia itself has with the same, like we all share the same type of struggles and
Struggle, right?
fights. But it is also beautiful because this story relates to so many other countries around the world that have gone through the same thing, so
Mhm.
it's very relatable in that sense, not just to Latin America, but every other country that has gone through the same thing of being invaded and their culture
Yep.
stolen away and their resources taken.
Yep.
And the way like the Empire was depicted in true evil spirit of what it is, the animation of the Imperials and the way it looks gloomy and dark and just like imposing. And then I don't know if you guys caught the part when they're trying to escape and they're jumping from those lava, I don't know what they're like, a little
buckets.
I don't know how to describe them. It reminded me of like Padme in Attack of the Clones when she's jumping from those lava-filled buckets. They're floating around. It reminded me of that a lot. And then like I think through the Force they brought down one of the water towers,
and
everything collapsed. So, and it speaks to water being such a source of life as well, sort of like water, finishing with the evil and all the trees and the grass and the flowers start blooming and the skies clear up. I was a puddle.
Yes.
I'm like, this is a heavy story, but it had a happy ending, which thankfully.
And it also shows, like, I thought that was really, well, A, I love that they got a victorious end. And B, the way that it happened with it being, you know, like one thing toppled the entire system just shows how those evil systems are like, they're so dependent on so many little things, and like all it takes, and they're fragile, and all it takes is like one thing to just completely dismantle them, because the system itself is not built to last. It's not built to survive. It's just there to leech.
That's a good
and
great
take
point.
and take and take.
Yep, exactly.
And I'm really glad that we got to see them destroy the whole thing, and to see then, like, you know, nature come back and like, and then the stars come back and you get to see the painting again. Oh, I was a mess. Oh, it was beautiful.
With the stars
cool thing
oh my God.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
And then like the one like bright star that's their mom. Oh my God. I was going to say something that was really cool as well was with the costuming, because there's obviously a lot of like indigenous, you know, inspiration there. But the one piece that I noticed, especially with Khotun's armor, is like there's like mishmashed clone armor that she stitched together for her chest piece, and so it's like even like
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, well, it was like white, and it looked like it was like mishmashed pieces of clone armor. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I understood it as. And I thought that it was also like
again, but that's interesting.
I thought that was another really beautiful nod to just how indigenous cultures persevere and survive in the face of all of this, you know, evil and, you know, all of this destruction. They're still able to use elements from that in order to, like, for themselves, in order to protect themselves or even create beauty. So I thought that was really cool to like incorporate some of that. And it makes sense, you know, two kids that are left, you know, alone fending for themselves, they're going to have to use all the resources available to them, right? So yeah, I thought that was that was really cool.
Yeah.
Tidbit.
And just the mix of like pure cynicism and pessimism, sort of just surviving, and the little child is all about like, we're not just going to survive, we're going to live.
We're going to live.
Even whatever the cost is. So
always hope.
Yeah. It's always hope being, and again, it's a heavy episode that has a happy ending, which I was not expecting when she dropped.
Was not either.
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. And then when the two of them, after they brought down the water thing, I'm like, that's it. That's the end of their story. And then I was like expecting them to turn into stars or something. And then they didn't. And I was like, this is so much better. So much better.
Way better. Oh. Expectations subverted. Star Wars made happy pain for the first time.
Yeah, I was going to mention with
I was like, oh my God, finally.
I was going to mention with like the cynicism, you see like the older sibling, younger sibling dynamic, where the older sibling protects the younger one, and like it like almost feels like, I mean, obviously, Tichina doesn't have any sort of, like, she understands what's going on. She sees it. She knows. But she's still able to kind of keep that like innocence and that childhood for herself because of what Khotun does for her. And so, like, and again, this is like a theme that I saw in so many stories, this like idea of family and their different family dynamics, but then just like this constant like protection and love and like within families, no matter what they look like. In this case, it was two sisters. But I thought that was also really beautiful to see, you know, the dynamic of, you know, older sibling, younger sibling, and how, you know, the older one has to take on the role of being, the mother and the father and just like the protector, and the younger one gets to be a child for a little bit longer. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost like the older one is protecting like the child itself, while the child is protecting the sister's soul and heart from becoming too hard. So it was like a beautiful balance of cynicism and loss versus like, no, I'm gonna have hope for both of us.
Yes.
And we're gonna topple that tower onto all of this evil. And it's just
I know.
Yeah. Poetry.
Love it. Story-wise, it was my favorite episode. Story-wise, it's just wish it went on longer.
Animation
Wish it went on longer.
Yeah.
Animation too. I know it wasn't claymation, but it felt like it was like you could see the way that like movement and everything almost felt like it was claymation, but I know that it wasn't. But just the way that they did it was just so brilliant. I loved it.
No, it was really, really nice. Really cool. All right, guys. So we can actually move to the cheery one, the cheery episode, the happy one. So episode 4, I Am Your Mother.
I Am Your Mother.
Oh my God.
Hilarious.
So
good. So
I was like, after that third episode, I was like, okay, I definitely needed to see this. Like, even though I already seen it, I was like, I need to pick me up right now.
It's well paced. Like you have really dark Sid story and artwork. Then you have like children in a horror kind of setting, and then you have like an indigenous story with loss of land and like culture. And then boom, there's this like Wedge Antilles Flight Academy with Max Rebo and Tyler Death Star.
Oh man, the
like,
Easter eggs.
I mean, I'm everywhere, like out the wazoo, and I loved it. And like when we saw this episode of Celebration, it was like the first thought was like, we always talk about like there's this father figure or male mentor in Star Wars, but you just don't see that with women at all. There's no moms, there's no grandmas, there's no female mentors. You have Seer in the Jedi Fallen Order, but she sort of falls within like dark light side, like she fails. Like you have that sort of relationship, but you just generally don't see a mother-daughter bond.
Yes.
You really don't.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to think like Rey with her parents, Padme and her twins, like it's all tragedy. And then you have Corky and his mom, Satine. It's all tragedy. Like you just don't have that mother-daughter bond, or even mother-son, doesn't matter, just a mother figure. And I was like, no, this is refreshing. Like I need this out of Star Wars, and it just delivered.
I think the closest sort of like mother-daughter relationship we would have gotten, and we didn't even really see it, was Leia with Rey mentoring her. I think that's the closest that we got. And we didn't even really like, we just saw like quick glimpses of it, right? And there's like this understanding of like, oh, she was training under her for a year, but we don't actually get to see it. And I mean, I haven't read the books, so I'm not sure if maybe they expand more on it in the books and the comics, but at least from what we've seen in live action, it was just like a really quick, implication of training, or I guess like they explicitly like showed that she had trained with her, but you don't actually get to see the relationship itself and the dynamic there, which kind of sucks. But
it's
with this one, it was
don't show sort of storytelling, which again, I mean, Carrie Fisher's passing, I'm sure hindered some of the creative process. I get that. But like, you're right. For me to believe in relationships, I want to see them. I want to see interaction. I want to see maybe a little bit of conflict, which in this case, mother and daughter had it. Like, she's embarrassing
teenage daughter
in a teenage daughter trope. It was like, this is the relationship I had with my mom. She's embarrassing like that. Like I was rebellious. I was hiding things. And then you have like the other mom and daughter duo with the Darth Vader haircut.
The Darth Vader hair was amazing.
That was just
oh my God. It was so funny.
And like when they're racing and like the evil mom is like berating her daughter, and then in the other ship you have the good mom like being like supportive of her child, and it was such a like nice little mirror image of what support of your parents can do when they're encouraging you and believe in you. And
then the daughter's opposites, where the mom's being supportive, but the daughter's like, oh my God, like, fighting it back. But then you see the evil mom berating the daughter, and the daughter's like trying to do everything to please her mom, making sure to keep her happy and stuff. So I like that duality right there, with those relationships.
Yep.
Great
That was
light
really
episode. The appearance of, like I said, Wedge Antilles is one of those characters that everybody kind of knows, but he's such a minor character too. Like, it was funny.
It
And
was
the little
fun. It was
Mandalorian
fun.
mask
The
in the
Easter
beginning,
eggs.
like so
Yeah.
Easter
The
eggs.
Easter
So many
eggs.
Easter
Oh my
eggs.
God.
Watching it on the big screen, I was like sitting, I'm like, like pointing at the screen. Like there was so many Easter eggs. Oh, it was so good. Even
Little
from, like
Chewy
the keychain on
baby
her
was
bag.
making
And,
me cry.
The Chewy baby. The Chewy baby.
oh,
Baby.
oh, did I miss that? I think I missed that.
When they're
Dang,
like
I'm gonna have to
setting up in the
rewatch.
ship,
Oh,
when they're like in the
Oh.
ships, getting ready to race, and then there's another family in there, and they're like teasing the Chewy family, and the
Oh,
little
yeah,
baby
yeah,
looks
yeah,
like evil. And takes his little doll and rips his arms.
yeah. Oh, yes, I remember that.
I was dying.
It was so. It's
Oh,
just
it's so
so
funny.
like it's
So
it's not
good.
over the top
No.
comedy. It's just simple, silly stuff that is just it
Yeah.
hits. You know, it's
Yeah.
so good.
A little Jawa in the beginning, like being a menace.
Oh my
and
yeah,
stealing
being a
stuff.
menace. Like
Yes,
that's
yes.
Literally it.
It's
That
like
is
the
what they do.
campy nature of Star
Yes,
Wars, like that.
so
That like
campy.
the
This was
heart
so
of that.
like when the mom was coming down and you see a bra falling down.
I
love
we were
it so
watching it and I'm like, is that a bra? What? Because there's like laundry all over the place. And the little
Oh my God, and the
R2D2 looking
R2D2 dog?
Yeah.
yes. I was just thinking about that too.
That poor thing
such a
was
good
dangling
nod.
off of that ship. Oh, I
So
loved
good.
it.
Oh
So
man,
good.
so good. Oh man, that we needed that intermission after those
Yes.
because those first 3 episodes were very like
Yeah.
like
And I
hitting you
feel
in
like
the feels and the darkness and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. I think this
And
one
then,
was
and then
also
you go
a
straight
great
into
one.
Journey into the Dark Head. Like, oh, wait a minute,
Oh,
let me
yeah.
recover.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I Am Your Mother was a really good one to have during Celebration because I think just like the vibe of Celebration, everyone's so exciting. And not that
Yes.
any of the other ones wouldn't
Yeah.
have been great to watch either, but I think this just having like a more fun one with all of like the little Easter eggs, and they did a fantastic job with like the animation and the pacing and the story. Like it was so good and so wholesome.
It was very
too.
Star
Like, I feel like
Warsy. Yeah, it was very.
it was
because of all
very
the
Star
Easter eggs.
Warsy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a good choice to show on the big screen for sure.
It was. It really was. It was.
All of them would have been. I would watch all of these in theaters. Just
I would have
saying.
been like, let's just
Disney,
watch the whole
hint,
thing.
hint. I would watch all Star Wars in theaters. Hint.
Make everything into an hour. Turn anything into a show. I would watch it.
Let's go.
Yeah. For sure.
All right, so we continue on to episode 5, Journey to the Dark Head.
That one, to me, by far, needs a couple of rewatches, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Because I'm reading my notes right now, and I remember the whole point was stone keepers where they see visions through on the stones, and there's an eternal war going on between Sith and the Jedi through the galaxy. Yeah. So one of the characters, Ara, decides to cut off the dark head that's sort of looming across the galaxy and causing all this turmoil, and she's joined by Toll. Is Ara and Toll, I believe. Toll is the young apprentice,
Yeah.
Who
Toll.
lost it.
Yeah, Toll. Mm-hmm.
Toll, right? And he lost an apprentice. A master during
His
like
master.
a Jedi fight. Mm-hmm. So two of them like
there
a
we
joint
get,
forces.
the traditional
classic stuff.
struggle of light versus dark with himself.
Yeah.
And he's trying to like claim Toll, and like he could have killed him at any point. He was like way outmatched, but he was just toying with him so that he can bring out anger in Toll.
Yeah.
But then you have R on the other hand. Like prior to that, she's putting like getting gloves, getting like the parachute, getting all these bombs. You don't know what's going on. And then when they float up in the air and you see the two heads.
Oh my God, that was
visually insane.
So beautiful.
So beautiful.
Oh
but then
my
she
God.
realizes it's connected.
It's all connected.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God. It all connected.
Not
Because
only
that's
is
what
it
the
all
force is. The
connected.
force is a balance.
Yep. But
So you can't take off the dark head. You can't
No.
because you're going to take out the light head.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And like when the clouds like dissipate and you see like, because at first you see, oh, this one's blue, this one's red, this one's good, this one's like
red.
evil, Jedi Sith. And then when the cloud clears and you see the mirror of that, and it's like, oh, it's in both of them. So good. And I feel like with this story, it's like, yes, it was about, the struggle between, light and dark, Jedi and all of that, but it was really about these two characters in their own personal journeys and having to like accept not just like where they're at in themselves, but accept and have a better understanding of just how the world works. Because with Ara, she had like a very like, and you could even see it like right from the beginning when she's little and she's questioning authority. And she's like, well, why is it this way? Why can't we just do this? And it's like this almost naivete of like children or adolescents where you're just like, you see things in very like, black and white boxes, things within certain boxes and that sort of thing. And then as you grow older, you're like, you understand a little bit better. And I think she needed to kind of grow in that way. And then Tala was it? Him as well, he he had so much of that like trauma still there, and he needed to find a way to let it go, and that obviously that big fight allowed him to do that. And then the two of them like benefited each other as well with like how they were depending on each other and having to be in a situation where they're depending on each other, because the two of them were out. Exactly, because they were very like independent, it felt like, characters, right? But yeah, it was a beautiful story, like from a thematic perspective, but then also from like the individual characters' journeys and their growth as well.
Also,
I have a note here that says I have a note that says this fight.
Bishan looked good, by the way. He was sexy. Of course, the villains.
Yeah.
He did.
Of course.
He had the long, flowy hair. I mean, hello.
Yeah.
Long black
when
hair
the mask comes off.
bane of my existence.
Exactly.
And then like the weapon, like a, I don't know what it was, like a
the tail, scorpion
tail thing, a scorpion tail or some sort. I'm like, he literally killed that boy at any minute, and he's looking good, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah. You're
done.
I have two notes here. One that says, I'm sensing enemies to lovers, and another one that says, oh, this fight slaps. The fight was so good. Like the choreography and the cinematography.
It was really
the way it was so and like
good.
the zooming in and out and like going around, and like the way that when they would zoom out and you would see like the two heads with the connections and everything, you could still see them fighting.
Yes.
And then they would like, oh, it was so good. Like the fight really did slap.
No, like the fight at the beginning when Bishan used his tail to like, I don't know, he cut somebody in half or something.
He cut like a bunch of people in half.
Right?
And
I was like,
I think it was stomach or something. Like,
damn, they really went anime with this one. I was like, wow.
Yeah, it was so good. So good.
It was so good. I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was.
It's
really,
just
really
very cool. Like the looking at seeing the heads at the beautiful. Visually, it was stunning.
Visuals were really, really beautiful. Yeah. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And I love how it ends.
Episode 6.
Surviving. This one, I was not expecting this one.
Did you have a thought or?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was going to say I love how I love how in the end of Journey to the Dark Hut, it's just the two of them just walking away from all of this, and you feel like that the two of them have come to like a sense of peace within themselves.
Yes.
That was all I wanted to say.
That was like an actual other nice ending that we got.
Yeah,
because I liked that they started bickering and like joking around with each other and stuff. So it was like,
the dynamic was interesting. It was for sure.
I said enemies to lovers, but I mean Jedi, so I don't know.
Maybe they'll give us an hour long.
Yes.
Looking at it was enemies to lovers. No one even read that.
All right, guys. So we go on to episode 6. Episode 6, The Spy Dancer. Damn, man.
I was not expecting this one to be so emotional and deep. Because when they gave us in Celebration, when they gave us just like an inkling of, or like an idea of what the show is going to be about, they're like, oh yeah, like it's, resistance in the way that,
covert
infiltrating mission, is distracting the Imperials with this beautiful dance. And then they like didn't say anything about the rest of it.
Well, they planned to
a little bit. Yeah, exactly. A little bit. But like, man, it was so deep. And like, anyways,
That was heavier than I thought it would be. I really thought it was just going to be a
spy.
covert mission, a spy mission, like when they're trying
that
to
was
cover up
it.
their actions. Like rebellions, and a lot of Star Wars do that. And all of a sudden it becomes a loss of a child that grew up to be an Imperial. I was like,
dude, that was like the plot twist on that
shocking.
one. I was
Yeah.
The beauty
And
of
the
like
entire
watching
time,
things when you don't have spoilers, that's what that episode was
it
made
was so
for.
good.
And when you think she's gonna stab the older Imperial, like right like during the performance, and all of a sudden she stops, I was like, what just happened? And then the eye patch of a younger character. But then there was a flashback earlier of a child being taken away from her. Initially, I thought the girl that she was mentoring was her daughter that might have been taken away, that was returned, that they have a weird like mother-daughter sort of conflict. But no, they said plot twist. This young Imperial is your stolen baby.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was ball of tears at that point.
The eye patch was such a good idea because, the eye patch was such a good idea because like, you can tell that there's something up with this Imperial character. But if they had, because all of the other characters had like the two-toned eyes. And so if they didn't have that eye patch, you'd be able to clearly tell like, oh, he's related to them in some way or that species or something like that. And then he had the hat on. And as soon as it started clicking to me, I'm like, hat's gonna fall off. She's gonna knock the hat off, whatever. But then the way that like the way that they had the hat coming off was just so, they did it in such a good way, but it's so heartbreaking at the very end when he takes off his own hat and then you see that the horns have been shaved away. And it was just like you can tell that he always knew that he was different, but it didn't quite hit so hard.
Click why.
And then you see the tracker on the thing. Oh, the ending.
Dude,
I want more. I want more.
Oh my God. That
was
so
good.
Story worthy of a movie right there.
She said, I found my way to him, and I mean, he found his way to me, and now I can find my way to him.
And I was like,
and then when I saw the trick, I was like,
it's brilliant. It just shows her brilliance, like genius.
But I don't want to make you guys. I'm about to make it a little sadder for you on this.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think one of the eyes was removed.
Yeah, I think it was.
Oh, you think?
Yeah.
I don't think
so. They wouldn't see that they were different, and he was an alien. Yeah,
because if he's going to bed at night, you know what I mean? Is he going with the patch? I think the eye was removed to completely
especially if the
that
Imperial
identity.
that took him was going to pass him off as his son.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
let's pass it off as a human. You know.
Damn.
So had to like remove all of the identifying features
markers
of his of his race or species. Man.
And I thought the mom was gonna die at some point. I was like,
me too. I thought he was gonna be
like a bullet from one of the stormtroopers is gonna get her, or something's gonna happen. Something's gonna collapse on her. Like
when she jumped
venue,
to the freaking thing. I was like, oh my God, do not!
I thought that was it. I thought she wasn't gonna make it at that point.
This was it
on the edge. Yep. No, I'm really glad that this one
beautiful.
It had such a heartbreaking ending, but then it was also full of hope. It was like this weird mix.
No, you're right. You're right.
Oh,
it wasn't a reunion, but like
but it was also beautiful visual wise. The dance,
yes. Oh,
with the
so
good. With the
and then when it turns red, after she like realizes or she sees like the shadow of the Imperial, and then her the dance mimics her emotions, which was beautiful, stunning.
Yeah, good point. Very good point.
Yeah, it was so good.
I really, really love that. And again, they explained to us that it was basically based on the French artists, cabaret dancers, I think, and singers that were working on the cover against the Nazi
tricking the Nazis
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that again, I llove that we're getting all this. That they incorporate all this in real world,
real world
stuff into story.
Absolutely,
and making it Star Wars, making it like about rebellion, resistance,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
such Star Wars.
and
It's
it's
so
another
Star Wars.
mother
Family.
character story, another mother
Yeah.
focused story, which
Yes.
Oh, right. You're right.
don't get that.
Yes.
Like, and the mother survives. More importantly,
Yeah. More
I'm sorry.
importantly.
I'm so hung up
Yeah.
on. I'm so hung up on that concept of just killing off mothers and mother figures in Star Wars. It drives me crazy. So
Because it's
Yeah.
great
another mother
trauma.
survives.
Yeah.
Of
Telling you, like
course.
no.
And now
And then
Yeah.
she's
now
off.
you're
She's
wondering in
gonna.
your head, you're like, when are they going to reunite at some point?
Yeah,
Because
and that's gonna be
Yeah.
her mission now, trying to save her son.
Yeah.
oh
I
God,
love how they made the
so good.
reunion feel
So
realistic.
good.
Like, as opposed to just like, oh, they find each other and then it's just like tears and hugs and whatever, which is like, yeah, that's great too. But they really made it feel realistic because it's like, she's been away from him for so long. She knows, but he's not, he doesn't want to even accept it because then it has all of these implications, right? He doesn't
Yeah.
even want, and he's been in this world of, the Imperials for so long. He was raised by this Imperial, right? And so he's been in that for so long that like he doesn't even like, he's going to resist that idea, but he's also like, he's been drinking the Kool-Aid. It's going to take time and it's going to be
Yeah.
hard for him to even try to
Oh yeah,
come out
Yeah.
to
of it, to
unwash,
actually see.
unwash all of the brainwashing. Yeah,
Exactly. So yeah, I thought it was,
the
The
fact that he,
journey, the rest of the story would have to be like seeing him going through that journey of basically unlearning everything
learning.
yeah,
and accepting this new truth that just came to him,
turning
and
maybe.
that would have been really cool
Yeah.
to see, if the continuation of the
Yeah.
story.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
I
like
want
the
more of
fact
the
that
story.
he hung on to the medallion, the fact that
Yeah.
he hung on to the medallion, like if you weren't ready to accept the truth or even like
Yeah.
face it for even just a split second, you throw that
Beautiful.
away and you
Yeah.
forget.
Exactly.
And he kept it and
Again,
he
that
put
inner
the
struggle.
Yeah,
That inner
and she had an
struggle always.
opportunity. She had opportunities to put the tracker directly on him, but she chose to put it on the little
the medallion
um,
thing
the medallion
or part of a
instead.
necklace. Whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like and like it's almost like she had a feeling that he was going to keep it. He was going to want to know. He was going to be
Mother's
curious about it.
intuition.
Mother's intuition.
Yeah.
That's exactly
Mother's
right.
intuition. Oh my God.
Ah,
Another mother
Yeah.
story. Gotta love
man,
it.
the
Visions
mother
series, what I've been
themes
begging
have
for.
just been so good.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mother Sith Mother.
Yep.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
She's a bad mama, but she's
Star,
mother. Okay.
Mother
Yeah.
Star in the stars.
Yes.
Another mother theme.
Yes.
Another
Holy
mother.
cow.
Oh, JJ, yes. We're mothering this season.
We're mothering this season. Like I gotta.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna have to rewatch all of this and pick up on this.
Yeah, I was
Oh
gonna
my
say
God.
even with the first one, Sith, technically she's the droid's mom because she ends up putting him back together,
Yeah.
and she's like
Yeah.
trying to protect him. Like, yeah, he protects
There's
her, but she
sentience
protects
there,
him.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, there's
You're
a
absolutely
little
right.
bit of that
100% right.
relationship too.
And then
Man, the themes are theming.
the theming. Even in
theming.
Journey to the Dark Head, you see that what's her name again?
Journey to the
Ara?
You
It
have
was
Ara
two-
and Tol.
What was her name?
Ara.
Ada.
Ada, yeah.
She was the one that kept that kept balancing him back, bringing him back from completely like going to the dark side. So we have this woman, this female being the
Yes.
one
Oh, good
saving,
point.
quote
Right.
unquote, saving him
Yeah.
from
Sort of balancing
going
out the
too far.
scales.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I think all of
Interesting.
these, if I'm not mistaken, all of them, or at least most of these stories, heavily feature women or
yes.
female
Oh, yeah.
characters, and it was beautiful to see.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
Oh,
Like
this
beautiful.
now brings us to the next episode.
Yeah,
The Bandits of Golak.
Bandits of Golak.
Talking
Love
about
it.
women and female
I love this
characters.
one.
in this freaking-
I love this
Dude,
one
the
so much.
focus being the little girl and the freaking
Yes.
Jedi.
Yeah.
What was her name?
I did
did
not
not
write her
write the
name.
names. Oh,
Did
'cause
they
I
say
was-
her name? I don't think they said her name,
I
right?
don't think they did.
The-
I don't think so.
No, I don't think anybody said names. But
No.
oh my God.
The only issue that I had with this episode, and maybe because it's nobody told the child not to use the force in
Yeah.
And that's
I
what I
mean,
was
it
saying.
was a
Like,
little
the brother should have been on top of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
right,
But
like
I feel
especially
like
during that era, you know it's dangerous, and the girl keeps doing that, stealing the
Everything.
flute
yeah.
and then playing the
Yeah,
flute, like
yeah.
really drawing attention to herself with a train full of strangers and stormtroopers. I was like,
Yeah.
is it, why do you keep drawing like danger to yourself? Like, did the
Yeah.
brother not communicate? That was the only thing
But
that bugged me until it got to the midpoint. I was like, wait a minute, with the Jedi lady showing up and like
Yeah,
holding
yeah,
up all
yeah,
the
yeah,
plates.
yeah,
And I was like, oh,
yeah.
we're in.
Yeah. I had very similar thought to you, JJ, and then I started being like, well, there's two things that it could be, is that like they're trying to protect her, and so they're not trying to like scare her away from her power and like make her not like they're trying to protect her at an emotional level by like separating like the danger that she's facing in order to like maintain her childhood. But then also she is a child. Even if you're telling her not to do something,
yeah,
she's still
yeah,
gonna
True.
do it,
yeah.
She wants
But it would have
candy,
been
like,
nice. Yeah. Would have been nice to have like a moment there with her brother being like, hey, like it's not safe, and then see her kind of not follow his advice or
Go
something.
against it. Yeah.
especially knowing that we're in like an Inquisitor era, which they are hunting
Exactly.
Jedi instead of
Exactly.
children all over the place. That was the only critique I have, is just that lack of like, don't use your magic, like even to
Yeah,
a child,
yeah, yeah,
hey, don't use magic
Yeah,
in public places. Like,
Yeah.
it was essentially there to get us to the plot of the Inquisitors, which,
Yeah.
and then after that,
Yeah.
it was just like the music
Yeah.
blew my mind. Like, I kept
Yeah.
like just turning up the
So
volume for the
good.
music because I love Indian music in general. So when I
Yeah.
hear it in the background,
And the
stunning.
visions.
And all
Oh
of a
my God,
sudden,
I
So
love
good.
the
So
heavy
good.
Indian influence, like the
Yeah.
music, the accents, the whole
Yes.
clothing,
the
everything,
clothing,
Yes.
like the
everything.
face,
Yes.
everything.
And
Everything.
even their
The
culture stuff,
sweets,
like
like
the stuff that they were doing and everything.
Sweets.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
architecture of
of
the
the
houses and
buildings.
the places
Yes,
where they were hanging
yes.
out, like,
Yeah.
was very
So good.
heavy on that culture. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
was
then
gonna point
again,
out from the beginning. You know what the train heist reminded me of? The Tuscan,
yes.
heist. It
Yes.
And the
reminded
Book of
me of,
Boba
because it's in
Fett.
the
You're
Yes.
desert
right.
and it's
Yeah.
the indigenous people. Like it was really really cool. Seeing
Yeah.
that parallel right there. I was like, oh my
And
God,
it was
this is so
also,
cool. So
You're
that
right.
little heist
yeah.
right there
Exactly
was cool.
right.
And then seeing the people on the train being like, oh, the bandits. And then like you see them and you're like, oh, these are just normal people.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Right? Like it's not some organized crime. It's like, these are the people, like this is their land and this train is coming through. Same with the Tuscans.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I need to rewatch the episode again.
Yeah, same.
I'm kind of blurry on the details, but if I remember correctly, weren't they like helping the boy at some point?
Yeah.
I
Shooting
think
down
so.
the stormtroopers on those
Yeah.
bikes, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly. So,
Mhm.
but it's funny, like you said, the train conductor is like, "Oh, we're entering a danger zone. There's bandits and all of that." So, and
Yeah.
these bandits end up helping the brother,
Not
who
even
in
doing
return
anything.
to save the sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, like the moment the old lady, the Jedi, with, was it two sabers? I think it was two sabers.
It
When with
was
the
her
Inquisitors,
cane.
oh my!
Oh
Oh
my
my
I
gosh.
gosh.
lost
Dude, when the
it.
Beautiful.
Inquisitor showed up, I was like, he looks beautiful. Holy shit. He
Yes.
looks
Animation.
so good. The
Yeah.
animation.
So good. And I think during the panel, they were talking about how they used inspiration of like evil characters and villains in a lot of Bollywood movies to like
You're right.
influence what he looks like. And to try to kind of marry that, the idea of an inquisitor
Yeah.
and what we've
Don't
seen
they use a
inquisitors
lot
look
of
like
blue?
to the
Like
culture.
they have blue deities or blue things in Bollywood, right? Like they
They
use a
do,
lot of
yeah.
blue
I think
in
so.
their movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But even in, like when you look at like his
You're right.
his outfit, you can see a lot of like
Oh
cultural
yeah.
influence there
All of
too,
that.
which is
Yeah. Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah.
Mhm.
I loved it.
I love
And
the
like
the
even like
combination of the whole thing.
yeah, even the way that he was like speaking and whatnot, you can tell like, oh, a villain.
Oh
Classic
yeah. Oh,
villain, the sort
absolutely.
of like the slow drawl and the like the pauses for
Mhm.
effect and all of that was so good. One thing
And
I
the
wanted to
goodbye between.
mention. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. I interrupted you. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I was going to say one thing I wanted to say about having the grandma or like the auntie being the one to be a Jedi is again like honoring like the matriarch in a society. Like I'm not
Right.
necessarily that like
No, you're right.
like yeah there's so much respect and there's so much um I don't know what another word is. Respect. There's so much respect for like
No,
the
you're right.
elders in a lot of non-Western societies, and especially when it comes to like grandmothers. And it's like they hold a lot of the lore and the family history and the family knowledge, and having it
Absolutely.
be her was beautiful because you always see young Jedi, right? And you always see, when it's like
Yes.
stories, you always see,
Yes.
and I mean,
Version, another
we
good
got both. We got like the little young force sensitive child,
the
but then,
child, yes.
yeah, but then like we don't really get to
You get the
see
past and the
somebody who
future.
looks someone who looks like an old
Oh
woman
yeah.
be a Jedi and be kick-ass and beat an Inquisitor's ass. Like it's just so
Yes.
good. It
Oh
was
my
so
God.
good. She
Yet
was
another
sending him to the
matriarch
cleaners. Just so
theme.
yes, yes. Oh, I love as soon as I saw her, even if she wasn't a Jedi, I'm like, she's better like tell him what's up. She's protecting this child. And then the lightsaber. And I lost it. It was so good. I loved it.
No, but the place that you guys mentioned earlier when she did the plates thing.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
that looks so
the
freaking
girl
cool.
was like, "It's not me," and the brother's trying to
It's not-
scold her, "Stop doing that, stop doing that." Like, "It's not me." She says it twice, and like you're
Yeah.
looking around, and I thought initially it might have been him doing it by accident. I'm like, is the
Oh.
brother force sensitive? Maybe he doesn't know. Maybe like in the midst of protecting his sister, it unleashed powers. And I'm like, who's doing this? And then again, she shows up. Oh
Oh.
my god!
She just
I
went.
thought it was
Oh,
the
I'm like,
Inquisitors.
hey,
Or I thought it was the Inquisitor
No,
doing the plate thing.
no, it was. He
Oh.
thought the little girl was
His
doing it.
sister was doing it.
And
Yeah.
She kept saying, "It's not me."
because
Because
wasn't
remember,
the
the plates
Inquisitor
went at
using the
the
Force though
Inquisitors.
before?
He used a little
Okay.
bit.
I thought it was the Inquisitor and he was playing with them. Like to show
No, that
his,
was the
and then I
lady.
thought that maybe the brother didn't know what an Inquisitor was because or just that he didn't know that there was other people that were force sensitive, and so he just kept asking his sister like, is this like, what are you doing, is this you? I thought that was also part of like the reason that they didn't understand the dangers was because they didn't know what an Inquisitor was, and that they would be there would be others that would be force sensitive. You guys are
So
blowing my
the
mind.
way
I'm gonna
the
have to watch
scene
this again.
Oh yeah, no, this definitely needs a rewatch. The way that I think the episode played out, like first they were just kind of hanging out, and then they approach, and one plate gets lifted, and then the Inquisitor takes. I think he took the same plate, was playing around with it to showcase I have the Force. And they already look
He
a bit
started playing with it. I think.
menacing because they're wearing the Inquisitorial kind of
Right.
clothing that we've seen. And all of a sudden, all these other plates, like 20 of them, lifts up, and he tells her, "Stop doing that, stop doing it." He's like, "I'm not doing that." And like to me, I thought it was being hinted at either at
Oh,
the brother or another person in the background that's going to step in because these children are not surviving the Inquisitors. There's no way
right.
they're not even matched.
No, at all.
I'm like, this is a slaughter, so there has to be another player in here that's going to protect them. So then the matriarch comes out just swinging, and
Yeah.
then
Oh, yeah. And
the
she just
water
destroys them.
parting into the tunnels, and then
Yeah.
goodbye between brother and his sister.
Oh,
I was just a
that was
mess.
like
It was
it. I know, and it's like it's heartbreaking, but not in a bad way. And that was also another theme that I kept seeing was like this idea of self acceptance, but then also like making your own path and going about your own journey. Like we see that in
letting
Sith, we
go.
see it in
Even in
Screecher's Reach,
Screeches
right?
Screeches Reach, because a girl chose her path with the Sith mother.
Yeah,
You're right. That is a
like,
big one. Matriarchy,
yeah,
mothers, and choosing your own path. That is literally
yeah,
those are the themes of the entire season.
Yeah.
yeah. And so like I didn't
I
want them
love
to
it.
split up, but at the same time, it was like it was done in a very
It's
beautiful way.
yeah.
I am
Very
a
hopeful.
master now, and I can create my own destiny.
Oh,
Yes,
That's the
yes,
quote out of the Sith.
from
Doll,
Sid.
right?
Oh, it was such a good.
I wrote it down
Such a
immediately.
good quote.
I am no Sith. That's what I wrote. I found my own battle. I am a master now, and I can paint my own. Oh my God! See, that's like tattooed out on my body kind of quote. Like that is just too good, too good.
So
So
good. Oh
good.
my God, so good.
So there are definitely recurring themes that connect
Yeah.
pretty much every episode, and they were like split apart by
Yeah.
countries and continents and cultures and
Yes.
eras and like and almost, but you have literally a same theme recurring across all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
And,
my
and it's
God.
so
Ooh,
beautiful
it's gonna be
seeing
another
how
rewatch.
important these themes are across the world, and the fact that like they wove themselves into these stories unintentionally, but you see it so clearly.
Yeah.
And I think it speaks about just like the beauty of just how, as a human species, we all have a lot of similarities when it comes to like, you know, what we're longing
Correct.
for and what we're looking for in life. And I think it's like this is a really like salient way of seeing this.
Yeah.
Like the connective tissue is there. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then as we move from that episode into the pit, same theme, brother sister connection, but this is a lot darker story again.
Yeah. Episode
Slave labor,
we're in
and
episode
digging
8
Oh
now,
yeah,
the
the
pit.
slave.
Again, I love that the focus ends up being the little girl. You know, she ends up being the little girl, but whew, that was heavy. I think that probably because this one didn't have any type of, you know, maybe a little bit of a hope or, well, at the end, but I'm just saying, like, compared to the rest of the episodes, I don't know. I think that kind of was a little bit darker for me,
Yeah, it
just
was.
because, like,
The
the way,
circumstances of
yeah, the
people, you know.
circumstances and
Yeah,
everything
yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
They're
yeah.
literally in a grave.
Yeah.
They
In
were
a
literally,
grave.
they were digging their own grave.
They're digging their own grave while their discovery and their labor is powering up the city, which I really thought the story was going to take even darker turn with like people being aware that there are people trapped in the pits. And when the boy came out like screaming, "We need help, please get us out of there," that they're just going to turn blind eye. And when they all showed up at the pit past the stormtroopers, and all of a sudden like they disappeared out of their sight after the chanting. And I'm like, oh, hell no, this isn't how this ends. Are you kidding me? But then the ship sort of starts showing up to go down and rescue
Yeah,
the people. Because after the brother died, it was like, where's this episode going to go? This is like
Yeah.
really dark. He was just
Because
thrown
what
into his own
happened,
grave.
what happened too was when the citizens came over to the pit, you just saw them
Yeah.
all surrounding the pit and
Like
just
hovering
looking
and
down
looking
and
down,
hovering
yeah.
and looking,
Right.
and then
Oh.
you just see them retreat, and then you just stay there for like a minute, like nothing happening. It feels like
Oh.
that.
The hope in these people sort of drains off their face. It was really dark moment because again, the camera is, first of all, they're illuminated, but you're looking from the upward, from their point of view.
Yeah, like
And all of a sudden their
all the way up.
shadows disappear. And I'm like, they really came to just look at us being buried alive and they left us here. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, this is freaking dark as hell. But
feel
then ships showed up to rescue these people.
Yeah.
I was like, God.
Thank goodness.
But it's a heavy one. Like literally, people digging their own grave to power up the rich city, literally a
Yeah.
mile from them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really depressing.
And it's also interesting that they chose something like the Kyber crystal that in Star Wars lore is this like beautiful thing that's being sought out, and is like used in a very like beautiful way with like lightsabers. But then it's like you see a different side of it, and even Ao's song, right? You see a different potential side of it. Of it's like, oh well, like if this is in high demand, and we actually do see a little bit where with like Rogue One and Rebel Rising, where they're using the Kyber crystals for the Death Star, right? And this kind of plays on that as well, where like this thing that can be used for light and beauty can also be twisted and turned into something that is exactly.
No, but it was good. And then again, it was beautiful that it did end up, again, hope being the thing, the family sacrifice, you know, and then with the little girl,
you have another brother-sister relationship, like you had like in the Stars and Bandits of Golok, but like unfortunately in this one the brother didn't survive. So it
was dark too. The way we just
really
saw
dark.
his death,
dude.
I was like, wow. Like just imagining just seeing that body fall and then just like splat on the floor.
That's it.
I was like,
'Cause that pit was
damn.
deep. Those people were
Yeah.
buried, man.
Yeah.
Like that was
Yeah.
pretty dark. So but at the end, when they were lifted up and the girl is looking at the kyber crystal that her brother gave her, and it kind of lit up and started moving, I was like, she's force sensitive. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the animation in this one too. This one was very classic anime,
Yeah.
right? With the color, the lack of the colors being more, monotone and more on the, like the darker spectrum and stuff. Not as much color. Like you didn't see color
Muted,
until
yeah.
you went on to the city.
the city that was powered up
So
by the kyber.
again, that showing the difference of
Contrast,
the, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And also showing like how bleak that area that they were digging in was, and like the heat of the sun. Like when you desaturate it, like you can kind of like I felt like there was heat coming off of, the ground, and like, when the sun's beating down on you, right? And it's just so bright and you can't really see. Like they did a really great job of capturing that feeling.
I love that we kept seeing their point of view from the bottom.
Correct. There's
Right?
a
That was
lot of
really,
that.
really cool.
A lot of
Yeah.
that. And the little creature that was digging the hole for the
Yeah,
brother,
oh my
like
God.
in the pit for him to step in.
Isn't that, I mean, it has to be something, it had to do with the force, right? Because there's no way that little animal is going to be like, yeah, let me just go, like, I don't know. It was very something mystical there with that.
Correct. Yeah. It doesn't seem like a normal animal behavior. It was almost like it was, I don't want to
was
say
literally
sentient, 'cause
that-
that's-
Yeah.
like he knew what he was doing. Like he was
influenced.
influenced by something. Correct. Because it was
Yeah.
kind of strange. It was digging right in the right spots for the boy to step
climb
in
out
and
of the
climb
pit.
out of the pit.
Like he was
yeah.
actually doing the little holes for him to like climb out
Yep.
and
Right.
stuff.
Yep.
So that was really cool.
Interesting.
It
And
was
then,
a dark episode, sad episode, but it ended up in hopefully by people getting rescued.
Yeah, exactly. And then thankfully we continued from such a dark, gloomy looking episode to a
Story about
beautiful and
Kyber?
bright and colorful
Story about Kyber.
episode 9. Yeah. Episode 9, Our Song.
Loved it. Loved it.
Yeah.
That's a South African story.
South
as
African.
well.
Tate, I told Tate, like, Tate.
You're going to love episode 8.
Tate, he was like, I'm going to cry. I'm like, yes, you are. Yes, you are. It was beautiful.
But like you guys said, the felt texture on the characters and just like the brightness of the beautiful hair. And you had like the father-daughter relationship, but then you had the Jedi lady
Jedi.
sort of again.
Another
Like,
like female influenced relationship.
Influence. Yes. Yes.
And you can see
just
how
like in
I was just
Bandits
so
of Golak, same thing.
yeah
Same thing.
same thing. And you can see how I was very like fascinated, not just by the Jedi, but like the whole process, like what is going on with her coming to get the kyber crystals from the dad and cleansing the kyber crystals and all of that. Like there is that like that influence there that is very important.
Yeah.
What I found interesting is that the planet that they're on is literally just all that red kyber buried underneath it.
Yeah.
And like you associate red kyber with the Sith, with darkness, with evil. I'm going to put that in quotes because it's a big word to use. But then like on top of it is this green and bright and colorful world filled with these colorful characters.
Yes.
Thriving world, correct. And I'm like, I'm wondering, like, does anybody know this stuff is here? Is somebody gonna come? I'm thinking Empire's gonna show up like at any minute. But again, subversion of expectations. I'm like,
Yeah.
that Al was able to cleanse the crystal.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they say that like the Empire did something that like poisoned all of the kyber on the planet or something?
It was the Sith. It was the Sith. The Sith.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the
But then
Sith.
it's interesting that they've just like left it, like you said, like they just kind of left the planet with all of this.
Yeah.
Rewatch it to pick up on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the Sith that did it.
I was a little confused when Al was singing the first time when her dad was talking to the Jedi lady, and then she had the red crystal, I think, in her box, and she opened it, and they're looking at it turn white or clear, but then like he scolds Al.
Oh,
like,
it's because it starts emitting like. If you notice afterwards, his glove has a scorch mark,
like an energy.
So I think like
it's like an energy.
there's like an energy being released, and like they've never had like like just as soon as it
You're
starts
right.
doing that, they stop, or she stops, and then like
They
so
stop
then
because
they see it being like a dangerous thing where when she sings around the Khyber, they start emitting this energy that can be dangerous, but never
You're
actually
right. I
like
forgot
get
about
to
it.
like the end where she actually like cleanses them. But there was also like,
Beautiful vision.
but I feel like the Jedi knew, like, well, I mean, she knew obviously that there was like that Au had some sort of connection to the Khybers, and she like, I forget the line that she uses, but it was something around like, you know, something around like a calling, right? Or like, you know, responding to like a call sort of thing when it comes to you. And again, like the themes of like, you know, finding your path and journeying and all of that, and self-acceptance as well. Cause like you can see Au like, cause she's got like that little like scarf, or a cowl neck or something
Yes.
that like she keeps like kind of
Yeah.
hiding behind when she feels like she's done something wrong or she's about to do something wrong. To
Maybe
kind of
that's sort
like,
of a
you know,
way for
shrinks
her to
into her
credit from singing too.
as like exactly as like a reminder to like not sing. Because initially I was like, wait, is she mute? But I'm like, but we can hear her singing, so maybe she can vocalize, but she can't speak. But then I was like, oh no, wait, the whole, you know, it's like the danger on the Kyber crystal. But then she
It was
ends
like a
up
little
like,
control thing, cowl
yeah,
to kind of stop it.
yeah,
Especially if it harmed the Jedi lady with the cut, which I totally forgot about that. That's why her
right,
dad scolded her.
yeah. But yeah, and then like finally like her having the confidence to go and try, and then her dad letting her afterwards as well, when she you know, the conviction that she has in herself, being like, I can do this. I forget exactly what she says, but like, you know, that feeling of like, I can do this. And then she cleanses them all, and then we get a beautiful line when the Jedi then says like, you know, you can come with me to train, but I can't, it can't happen here. And and she said, we cannot choose where our calling takes us, only whether or not to answer. And that line blew me away. It was
That
so
is so
good.
good.
Yes.
Oh my
So
God, that is
It
good.
was
good.
amazing.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And again, there's like, this is the third instance where we see somebody who's force sensitive, who's now going off to get training with their force
Call to
sensitivity, or
adventure.
going.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I also love that Owl was actually being guided.
Yes.
Right? Because I think I love that the background was a lot of the singing, and it felt like the force
Yes.
to her was the singing and the music.
Right.
That
Yeah.
was always guiding
Yeah.
her. Because when she got to the cave, she thought she was gonna go in through the entrance, and then I don't know if it was singing or something that showed her there was a separate secret
Path.
entrance,
Yeah,
right?
you're right.
You know. So
Yeah.
I absolutely love that they stuck with the themes of the singing and stuff being that the guiding force. Like that's how she felt the force, I guess, or how it was how it came to her.
Manifesting to her. Yeah. The
Yeah,
cave
yeah.
also, I thought it was really beautiful. And like you had like the overall singing, but then they almost zoom in on a couple kyber crystals, and you can hear it shift and change the vocalizations in the song.
Yep.
So it's like, not only does she hear the song, but she hears it uniquely for each of these crystals, and it was just, it's just so beautiful. It's just so like just imagine like the immense like power that you have to have, or I guess the strong connection that you'd have with the force in order to like feel all of that in unique different ways, and not just like one overall song only, right? Just as powerful as that is, but even just being able to like, she's hearing all of these individual kybers calling out to her in a unique way. It's just sent chills. I loved it.
And imagine being a child that young to have that sort of power that you can purify a sick kyber. You know what I mean? Like,
not
and
just
yet,
one,
magnitude,
an entire mountain's
like
worth.
the whole
entire
thing,
cave work,
mountain
correct.
of
And
it.
then the Jedi are like, you choose this path. Like, you can come with me or stay
not.
here. Like, despite how powerful she is, like, I'm sure Jedi could use that kind of power to sort of either rebuild a new Jedi Order, build more weapons, empower themselves to fight the evil. And I think that it's a nice conversation to have about Jedi, who are often sort of, we have these
They
strange
kidnap
conversations.
children. They kidnap children.
Thank you. That's exactly right. I am so sick and tired of that. Like, I mean, there's a lot of nuances there, like the separation from the family and all of that. But like, if Visions did anything, especially with like Bandits of Golak and then with the Ao song, like you have these families that are going their separate ways because they know what's kind of best for them. Like you seek your own path and you hope that you find each other at some point. Same with the, what was the episode name? The Spy Dancer. Same thing. Like mother son separated. Then you have in the Screecher's Reach, like Doll and her friends. That was very sad to me that there's, but then again, Doll chose that.
That was her choice. Absolutely.
That was still her choice. There's a lot of like the choice, the matriarchal culture, mom being like such a central theme. And in the Sith episode, again, a female-led character who I am assuming that she lost her arm in the battle with her Sith master. When he was trying to turn her. That's sort
probably,
of what I assume.
Probably.
So you very like this whole season is very heavy on like women being like put in positions of power, mentorship, or leadership. And loved it.
Love to see it.
It was just refreshing.
Absolutely love it.
You really do. And with Ao being so cute and like all plush and like
cushy and
purifying.
I know. I just wanted to reach in and touch.
The animation for sure.
But the animation, it was. I loved it. It was beautiful. Like it was so stimulating on my eyes because I love greenery and greenery. Oh man, very like my eyes rested after that, especially after a heavy episode.
Yes, I think that was a good way to end the whole season with the song.
Yeah,
with again hope, something that gives you like uplifts you. Because the music is always said that music is always like food for the soul.
Yes,
it makes you great. Yes, so that's exactly what that last episode was. Just hearing the beautiful music, her beautiful singing, and everything. It was just.
So we started with a painter, and we ended with a singer.
Yeah.
With a singer. Oh my God!
Yes. Oh, that was such a beautiful full circle moment.
Wow, art, animation.
And in the middle, we had the dancer. So there we go.
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's true.
The flute in the
flute in the Bandits of Golak. Yep.
I'm trying to look what else we have.
The painting in the stars.
In the stars.
Yeah,
again,
the painting in the stars. More art.
Oh, I love all of like the different
that. Oh my God.
Connective tissue.
And then the Journey to the Dark Head, just seeing the beauty in the stones, like just
that's true.
Right. That's drawings in the stones.
You're right. And do you guys remember in that episode when initially the vision in the beginning on the stone ended up being the battle between being the heads
and her being
in the middle.
Yeah. So good. It was so good.
Themes theming, baby.
Themes are theming.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, so these stories are just so blow me away.
So, it was amazing. Amazing.
So essentially, I can't wait for Thursday to rewatch it again.
Yes. Oh my God.
No,
absolutely.
Seriously.
All the stuff I missed. Yeah.
And even like as we're talking, there's so much that I'm noodling on that I'm gonna have to as I'm watching it like a second time, I'm gonna see it in a different perspective or in a different light, which is I'm just excited. I'm so
absolutely excited. Now that we we were able to break it down, the details, and now and the new stuff that we learned from each other.
Yes.
The way we're gonna see it is like, oh my God,
so good.
Yes.
This is why I love
even more stuff. Yeah. Oh, me too. This is exactly
absolutely.
This is exactly why we do this stuff.
Yes, absolutely.
So, which one was your guys' favorite episode?
I was going to add, yes. Favorite and favorite story and favorite animation.
Oh,
JJ.
I like that. My favorite animation, I'm going to go with Sith just because I like Sith stories. We don't get a lot of Sith stories, like the struggle between a master and a student trying to break away from that master. I love, I think Lola is her name. Let me go back to my notes real quick. Yeah, her name is, her name is Lola. I like that she has rogue hair, the robotic arm, the little robot. Like to me, visually, it just blew me away. And with her ship when she's trying to escape from her Sith master, her former Sith master. But as far as the story is concerned, In the Stars just struck me the most. Like I couldn't breathe half the time because I'm like, something happens to these girls, I am going to look at them up in your walls.
Yep.
But
No.
also Bandits of Golak, like I cannot like ignore the Inquisitors and the older woman, the matriarch, swinging those lightsabers and laying down.
It was beautiful choreography as well.
Stunning.
So
The
good.
music. I just
The
remember the
music.
music from that episode so
Yes.
much. But like it's very difficult to pick a favorite. Even like Screecher's Reach is such a horror like stories that I really like in animation. Like it kind of takes you by surprise a little bit. Like you said, you thought you were going to subvert expectations. She's going to rescue the ghost, or it's just a myth. But no, all of a sudden there's a Sith mother trying to claim you. Like, what the hell is happening here?
Yes.
Because the whole time, like she's talking about like, oh, the strength is with me, give me courage. Like these are Jedi words.
Yeah.
Like what is happening? And then all of a sudden there's a Sith person coming in, take a child away. I'm like, so I would go with a Sith episode, just animation wise, because I love the Sith looked really cool.
Yeah.
And Ao's song, because I love that sort of animation. Story wise, I'm gonna pick In the Stars and Bandits of Golak. Just
Okay, cool. Sue, what about you?
I feel like I'm gonna copy JJ here, but yeah, In the Stars for me was the one that I think hit the hardest in terms of like the story, and like not just with the story, but even like with the like the music that they had, like the vocalizations that they had with the music there as well. Like just everything fits so well. And it, like I mean, yeah, I already said I cried so much in this episode. So I think that one's
we also
probably.
each other selfies crying on.
Yeah, I know. All three of us had to.
I
saw you guys having selfies, and so I'm like, okay, next time I cry, and then it's like immediate tears. And I wanted to like.
What was happening to me? Like, I was just like, I'm so emotional, Lori. I'm like, if I don't take a photo, I'm not gonna believe what's happening to me.
Yeah, and I'm like, this isn't. Like, this is a story that I've seen told, and like, there's also very similar themes in the other ones, but it's just the way that they did it in the Stars just hit so deeply, with like the way that they told the story visually, as well as like with the dialogue and everything. It was beautiful. So I think that one is definitely like my favorite. In terms of animation style, again, I'm copying JJ here, but Sith, like just visually, I kept going back to just rewatch scenes just because I loved the animation. Like there was like that moment where after, you know, she's trying to like make the paint colors and then it goes dark and then she's walking out and then there's like the paint all over the place and she's like, and then there's a little bit on the ground and the little droid goes, E2 goes to like look at it and it starts like moving up and you see that like wonder in the droid, and I started tearing up and I was like, oh my God, like it's a droid, but like it reminded me so much of like WALL-E. And that like I just I was like just WALL-E vibes with that droid and just like how like I don't know if the droid is a girl or a guy or how the droid or genderless like how the droid was just like interacting with like the paint and like that like wonder that it had. Like it was just they did such an amazing job with that, the animations. And again, like I was mentioning earlier, how they were depicting like the light and the dark sides of it and you know, showcasing her inner world versus like what's happening around her. I thought that was beautiful. And a really close second for me, I think, was Journey to the Dark Head. The way that they did that fight scene sequence and the way that they were like depicting the big heads and in like up in the clouds and everything was just stunning. It was just stunning. I mean, all of them are really great, and I'm like scrolling through now, like all of the different ones, and I'm like, oh, but I really like the Bandits of Golak. I think in terms of story was also another. I think that one as well in terms of story. I'm like going back and adding stuff now. I just loved seeing, like again, the matriarchal influence there, but and seeing a grandmother wielding 2 lightsabers. Like I can't, like that moment was just so hype for me. I can't it was just so beautiful. It was like and exciting and like I loved it. So yeah, I think in terms of
the best moment of season.
Exactly. No, absolutely agreed. Agreed. So
Oh, yeah.
I think in terms of story,
Elderly Indian woman being a badass.
I know, in full cultural garb too. Like
Oh
it's
my
just
God, yes. Her whole
yeah,
thing.
and
She was like, I didn't have to think.
everything, and
The
the way
hair
that she
and
just like
Her
and
face
just
face,
no
markings.
her
nonsense.
jewelry.
Yeah, so beautiful.
So
Yeah,
beautiful.
so I guess
Loved it.
story Bandits of Golak and In the Stars, and then animation for me Sith and Journey to the Dark Head.
Darkhead.
Awesome. I think for guys, I mean, I think we're all like sharing the same brain cell probably.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because okay, so I'm gonna start with animation. Animation Sith.
Yeah.
I love that. To me, it looked like the whole thing. A lot of the scenes were like looked like brush strokes. The way they did it,
Yes.
even
Yes.
the lightsabers, it looked like they were just like. They were
Yep.
painting it as they were painting it while it was happening because it
Right.
was just like the way that it flow it game and stuff. And I also love how they did the bloops at the beginning of color and then having the black because you didn't even know why that was happening.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you didn't. I just figured, oh, it's just basically an imagery of like the darkness trying to sip into something beautiful, but like
Yes.
but I
Yeah.
never would have imagined
Yep.
it was because of her, because she was the one struggling with that, with that inner darkness that she had before turning. Even though she still has it there, but she's balancing it out.
But
That's
you
what the
can almost,
color
and the
shows.
Sith is coming, so like
Yeah.
all the paint is sort of struggling. Like
That's
the
what I
darkness
thought
is
it
gonna pull
was. It
it.
was the
I was like,
Sith.
he's got to be, or she's got to be in the
Yeah.
background somewhere. Something is
Yeah.
gonna happen right now. But I
Yeah.
didn't know they were like a Sith apprentice relationship. And then like you go back thinking like maybe that's why you
Oh
don't have
my
an
God.
arm. It probably got chopped off during like a
Yes.
struggle. That's why she
Yes.
was on the run. And like
Yeah.
having a beacon sort of follow like her surroundings to see if
Yes.
anybody like shows up. And if I remember correctly, the Sith showed up with, let me go back real quick to my
Two
Yeah,
more.
he showed up with two other
two
ones.
more robots, right?
Two more warlords, yeah.
You're right. That's what. Oh, stunning
Yeah.
episode. It was
No,
like
no,
a
no. It was
snowscape with twin suns, but also red and dark, like you said, paint strokes.
yeah.
Stunning.
They look like paint stroke, and the way when the Sith was like dragging his saber on the floor, and you just see the little like the sparkles and stuff. I was like,
Oh,
like this
so
is so
good.
freaking beautiful. So good. Loved it. So animation wise, definitely that. For the story wise, again, In the Stars. In the Stars, it just hit very close to me again because I have more of a personal connection to it
Connection.
because of what the story entailed and what influenced it and stuff. And it was just beautiful seeing something like JJ said, contrasting the cynicism from the older sister to the hopefulness of the little one. And
Yeah.
and that's what you want, like as a sibling or as somebody older that's taking care of somebody younger. That's you're always scared, you're always
Correct.
trying to protect
Yeah.
them and keep them in that bubble. And sometimes the little ones are the ones that have to teach us.
Correct.
Yeah.
We learn from them. So that was absolutely beautiful to me. And I think after that it's going to be our song, just because of the music and the thing, and just the importance that they gave to that, to her having such a powerful powerful such a power, like a power, like the power of her, and her voice was just incredible. And I'm a big music person, I loved it. I
Yeah.
grew up with a lot of music and stuff, so that was really, really cool for me. So
Quite
yeah, those
literally,
are my
your
three.
voice is powerful. Like it doesn't have to be
Exactly.
on just it's what Star Wars is telling you. Whatever you have, your voice is powerful in this.
Oh
So
yes, that's exactly
Yeah.
it. You
Exactly.
have power in your voice. You can change something bad to something good, something dark to something light, with
yes.
the power
Yes.
of your word, with the power of your voice,
There's just
dude.
so many
Yeah.
good themes this season. A
Yeah,
lot of connective tissues
Themes.
among the episodes. Like
themes
So
are
good.
theming, baby,
themes are
this
Yeah.
theming.
season.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
dare say that I think I liked Visions Volume 2 more than 1, just because I really enjoyed every episode for different reasons, but also for a lot of similar reasons, because,
Yes, yeah,
again,
yeah, yeah.
they connect on a lot of different levels. Like, Like I thought the Visions one would be hard to top because I really enjoy, especially Ronan. The first episode is very special to me. I really connected with that character and that story. But yeah, this season I'm
blew
looking
my
forward to
mind.
more.
This season
It was
absolutely blew
unbelievable.
my mind. Yes.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And I really do hope, I mean, I know in our community, we know that we can break things down and see things further than just what they show us. We could break like we did today, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a lot of pushback too, like from the not so nice side of the community. Because number one, a lot of more the matriarch, the
Heavy in
woman,
the
the female
matriarchs.
had led stories,
Yeah.
and
the like indigenous
why is it so
focus.
soft, and why is it the lovey-dovey stuff, and like type of thing. I think one of the Screechers, what is it called?
Screechers Reach.
Screechers Reach. I think that's probably one of the most that they're gonna like kind of like talk shit about, talk crap about, because they're not gonna understand the point of it. I don't think.
No.
Because it's very, they just went, oh, it's a bunch of kids, and that little girl just wanted to go somewhere.
I mean, I'm seeing
how
the
this
comments.
works. How this works.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm seeing the comments they're making about like Young Jedi Adventures and being like, why is there like a kids show? And it's like, why not? Like aside from all of the Order 66 crap, right? It's
I'm sick of it.
why are you so pressed that there's a story that is made for younger kids? Like, you can watch it too. It's fine. It's not a big deal. Like, or not watch it. It's fine. Like, it's not a big deal. Yeah, exactly. But just the amount of like complaining and it's like you should be happy that like
George Lucas saying Star Wars is for kids.
Exactly.
George Lucas on a loop. Put it on the loop. Star Wars is for kids. Even Dave Filoni say it. Dave Filoni saying it because that's their new part now. So it's like
you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right.
And just
have Dave Filoni the part. Because Dave Filoni, there's a part where he says, "Oh, George said that Star Wars is for kids." So have him saying that the whole time.
Oh, you're right. That's it.
Seriously.
That's
it. Yeah.
Just it happens to find a way to have adult themes, but package it in a way that kids can watch it and enjoy it,
understand it.
Yeah. Correct. And being pretty much only exception, it's very very adult geared, which I was begging for an adult Star Wars story for years.
Yeah.
But generally, Star Wars knows how to package serious concepts and have it for kids too. So not Revenge of the Sith, probably not that one.
No, definitely not.
That one's a heavy. That one is very heavy.
Yeah. But I think even with these ones, obviously some of the themes are very like dark and heavy, but some of the episodes are like you have the depth of the themes and the characters and the story, but they are packaged in a way that is very friendly to younger, younger people, like kids and whatnot. Like I Am Your Mother, Au's song, definitely, right? Like
those two will be standouts.
Spy Dancer,
crowd.
Kids,
even Spy Dancer,
Bandits of Golak, like so many of them. I mean, some of them are probably maybe a little too intense with a little heavier, but at least like maybe like half of them are very like friendly to a younger audience, and I think that's beautiful. And that's not to say that like because they're friendly to a younger audience that it took away from the depth of the analysis that we could go in with it. Absolutely not. Every single one was just, there were so many things to discuss. And I really hope that people watching these, don't just look at it in a surface level, but like actually watch it and like take it in and like reflect on it for like a minute, afterwards, and just be like, oh, like this is, I see this theme and or these themes. And hopefully as they're watching multiples of these in a row, they start seeing the themes, that join all of these, the thread that kind of goes into a lot. Yeah, exactly. Because there's so much.
That they don't take it just at face value, like, oh, that's what
exactly.
It was just a little girl and her sister trying to fight the Empire. That was it.
Yeah, little girl and her sister trying to get water is like all that is from that. It's like
some will.
Right.
Listen, I will riot. I will go into their comments and just be like, "You're just dumb, man."
It's not for you.
No, I'm writing hard for these stories. Yeah. No,
Exactly.
these have been way too beautiful to just let people, turn them into like a
Simple,
one-liner
simple.
and dismiss them.
Yeah.
Because, it's
Absolutely.
they're too good.
Absolutely. Yes.
So good. This season was excellent.
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 All right, guys. I'm glad that was basically our final thoughts for the
All right.
final thoughts for the season. It was incredible, and I really think the majority of people are going to enjoy it. So
I agree.
That's really
Agreed. Everyone's going to find
cool. All
something.
right, guys. Yeah, absolutely. Something's gonna appeal to somebody, So that's the hope, Star Wars hope.
Yep. That's it.
All right, guys. So before we sign off, I want to thank you guys so much for being guests on the podcast today. It was so much fun. It was so informative and just like amazing talking about all these beautiful themes that we got from this season. But before we go, do you guys want to let people know where to find you on the social medias? JJ, you can start.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you again for having me. I was looking forward to this episode just because two of you, number one. Number two, love Visions. And this season was just no bad moment for me. So I couldn't wait to like pick your brains and see if you caught anything that I haven't. So forgive for my cat. She is very needy. You can find me on social medias under Lady Dragon JJ and TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. So I post about all kinds of nerdy stuff, Game of Thrones, Star Wars, Marvel, pop culture. Yeah. So that's it. Thank you again for having me.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited we got to talk about these episodes because there's just so much, and I've taken away so much from our conversation, and I'm like beyond excited to watch them again and actually have like these conversations in mind. Where people can find me, I'm Sue's Theories on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I will post videos doing like live reactions, talking about all of the shows and movies that I'm watching, as well as earrings that I make that match the shows that I'm watching, and occasionally far out there theories that sometimes pan out. So that's it for me.
Yes. Awesome, guys. And, again, I'm Kari, aka Star Guastia. Star Guastia, you can find me on TikTok and Twitter under that handle. And on Instagram, you can find me as Kari Skywalker. So this is going to wrap up this episode of Temple of Geek Podcast. We want to thank everyone who tuned in today and especially our guests for being with us today. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to hit us up on Facebook or Twitter by using the handle Temple of Geek. Do you want to check out some of our other episodes or shows? Why don't you head over to templeofgeek.com where you'll find all sorts of content that pertain to the world of geek. Again, thank you guys, and I hope you have a great rest of the night or morning too.
Thank you.
Please follow us on Twitter at Temple of Geek. Follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Temple of Geek. And remember to visit templeofgeek.com, your one stop for all things geek.
Goodbye.
This will conclude our transmission.